Welcome to the podcast. This is Mr. Ish. This is Kips Bay Boys and Girls Club. This is the home edition. We haven't done a couple of podcasts for a while. We've been home. It's a new era now, and we're still gonna try the podcast and reach out to the people and reach out to our club members, and definitely reach out to our executives and stuff like that. Today I have a special person on the phone. And we really been trying to plan this podcast even before all this happened. I have my executive director, Mr. Dan Quintero from Kips Bay Boys and Girls Club. Thank you for taking the time and being on the phone with me. And I know there's so much information you want to share with not only us, but with our members and the people that follow us, the people that do fundraisers for us. So just thank you very much for being on the phone, Mr. Dan Quintero.
Mr. Ish, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to be safe and healthy and still working hard to try to provide as much for the children that we serve as possible. So it's great that we're doing this. It's long overdue, and I'm looking forward to sharing information with the general public about what the Kips Bay Boys and Girls Club is doing and conducting in these very difficult times.
Yeah, I would like to also tell people, please follow us on our website, kipsbay.org, because we also put information on there. Sometimes, that may be in the middle of the night that they throw something up there, but just follow us because it's important just to grab as much information as possible. We're sharing as much as we know and as much as the executives know. They share it with our staff. They share it with everyone. So we're trying to share all the information that we know and that we can with everybody else, our members, our parents, and stuff like that. So please follow us. I know that this is totally different. I mean, we're going through some difficult times. I worked for the company for 7 years now, and this is the first time that these doors have been closed for this long. I mean, we do summer camp. We do, every once in a while we get a break, but we've never had our doors closed, not as long as I've been there, for 4 weeks, 5 weeks. And I know it's very difficult for not only the families, but for the people that work with the members and the kids and stuff like that. So I know it's very difficult for you also. We have 9 locations, and we do a service for everyone in the community. And how do you think that we're gonna start doing this, or what are we doing to move forward and help our community?
Well, Ish, as you said, in the history of Kips Bay, which is 104 years, I don't think we've ever closed for this amount of time. Obviously, we've closed a day or two here and there, or a couple of weeks for renovations and cleanup. But to think about 5 weeks total shutdown, our children not being served, our staff working from home and trying to empower themselves as we prepare to reopen. But that in itself is nebulous because we don't know when we're going to reopen, right? So from a staffing standpoint, you do as much as you can while you can, but I can see the frustration that some staff may have in going day to day, not understanding what the future looks like. But as we look towards the future, my hope is that as this city, which has been hit very hard, I think we have over 80,000 deaths. I think it's 40,000.
Yeah,
deaths.
I even hate looking at the numbers already.
Yeah, the numbers just are staggering, especially as it relates to what's happening in other parts of the world, even other parts of the country. But New York is a densely populated city, and a lot of families live very close to each other. There are a lot of risk factors, comorbidities, as they say, and as a result, these numbers are much higher in New York than everywhere else. So coming back from this in New York and New York City is going to be a lot more difficult. So while they may open up in Butte, Montana, and in Oshkosh, Milwaukee, New York is going to be very different. I think we're in the middle of April now. I'd be surprised if we are open in mid-May. I think this will take us probably into early June. And as this curve, as they say, starts to flatten and these cases start being less, then we can really think about, okay, let's let's open up, let's reopen, and let's start serving the Kips Bay Boys and Girls Club community and the parents. But I have to say, Mr. Ish, we're not going to look the same. I
Yeah,
don't think life as we move forward is not going to be the same. Even at the club, we have to think about: are we going to wear masks with the kids? Are we going to wear gloves constantly as staff members? As kids and staff members come in, are we going to take their temperatures as they come in with some kind of temperature gun? Um, do we need to reduce the amount of people that are in the building at one time? Uh, so how does that impact programming? How would that impact the amount of staff that we have in the building? All of, these are all issues and items that the administration of the Kips Big Boys and Girls Club is discussing as we speak, and brainstorming, and obviously staying in tune to what New York City regulatory agencies are requiring of us also. Because I have to tell you, Mr. Ish, this is changing not hour to hour, almost minute to minute sometimes, and we
definitely.
have to stay abreast of it. So that's kind of, I know that's a long answer, but that's kind of what we're working on and envisioning for the near future. And I think the near future is basically 45 to 90 days. And I'm trying to take it in those kind of chunks, 45 to 90 days. How are we going to look? How are we going to look like? What are we going to do? How are we going to serve the children and parents we serve? And then look to the next 45 to 90 days.
Yeah, and I'm sure that when you sit down with the executives and you go over some things, you go home and you think about it. Something else comes up, and you read an article, or something, something else is added to it. So you may come with an idea, and by the time you come to the table again, or on a phone call, conference, whichever way you're doing it, and that idea might just not work because things have changed around.
Oh, yes.
So I know
Absolutely.
that's
As a matter of
definitely
fact,
happening.
my little pet name for the way I've been doing business is a brain. I call it a brain churn, meaning that my brain is always churning because the ideas you thought were a good idea literally 10, 20 minutes ago may be a bad idea the next 10 or 20 minutes. So you're constantly thinking about how you can stay ahead of plans and process and the contagion and the impact of the contagion. And so I find myself more mentally exhausted these days than physically. But
Definitely.
these are the things we have to do to try to serve the community that we know and love.
And I know that most of, I guess, all of our locations are in the Bronx. The Bronx has been hit very, very hard. Those are some of the numbers that I do look at. I know that most of the families that we do have, sometimes it's 2 and 3 generations living together. So if one person gets sick, it might be an aunt, a grandmother, a parent, and that makes a big difference. Some of them don't have medical coverage, and that also affects them going to the hospitals and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
it
Yes.
becomes very difficult for anything to happen because they're scared also. They're scared
Well,
of doing anything because some of them might be from different countries, and we embrace that in the Boys and Girls Club. We embrace how we have people from Africa, people from Santo Domingo, people from Haiti. We embrace all that, but this is a scary part because the parents are scared. The parents are scared. They don't know what to do.
yeah. I mean, unfortunately, the communities we serve, obviously, they don't have the luxuries of going to this like maybe large backyard or being socially distant, from each other. It's very difficult, and obviously that's impacted the Bronx in a great way. The other thing that's impacted the Bronx, the Bronx has the highest rate of asthma
True.
in the country. There's also a high obesity rate in the Bronx. I think countrywide is 15%. The Bronx is 34%.
Wow.
So these are all unfortunately factors and as they say comorbidities that affect the impact of this contagion. So the areas and the demographics that we serve, unfortunately, have been hit harder as a result of these comorbidities and how we live in the city and in the Bronx. So, yeah, again, moving forward, we have to understand, okay, what are the measures we have to take to try to address some of these challenges that that we face on a day-to-day basis at the club. I know if you have two, three generations of families in an apartment, I don't think the club can assist in that process. But as it relates to children in the building and how many individuals in a building at one time, these are the things that we have to come up with some real safety numbers
Mhm.
so that when these kids leave our presence and go back to where they live, they're not carrying the contagion to their families.
I know we normally have a ratio that we kind of go by. It's like the 10-1 for the younger from 6 to 9, and then we have maybe a little larger group for the older ones. But I guess that would also really affect us, because now from 10
Sure.
to 10-1 we may have to do 6 or 5, and
Well, yeah,
that'll be
these
very
are
difficult in a classroom.
all things that we have to consider. Quite frankly, we may not even have to consider them. The regulatory agencies that uh, kind of tell us how to operate and provide the rules by which we operate might mandate this in the very near future. So these are the types of things we're staying in tune to and really following up on. But while nitty gritty or historical Boys and Girls Club program will not change. The impact will be the same. The empowering factor will not be this will be the same. What won't be the same is, how exactly we deliver that. And it might be in smaller doses, but obviously, I'm confident that the impact will be the same.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the impact will be the same. I mean, like, this is not like a summer vacation in the sense that we come back from 3 weeks and we see the members, and they're so happy to see us, and getting back to a regular routine, because a lot of this is routine for them. They're used to going to school. They're used to coming to the boys club. Not only that, but having a meal. They're used to having a snack, having dinner, having
Absolutely.
having time to do homework with us. I mean, I work in the DOE also, and it's hard for me to do homework with my two girls. My wife has become the cook, the clean, a teacher. I teach in the morning for my younger daughter. I also take care of my parent that's here, my dad, and it's very difficult, to do a schedule. Yes, you're at home, but it's still a schedule. You still have to do everything. You still have to feed the kids. You still have to do, the online teaching and stuff like that. So it's become a very difficult thing for everyone.
No, without a doubt, this is a transition time for everyone, and creating a positive routine, which may be new, but following it on a consistent basis will help you uh, deal with these circumstances on a daily basis. Uh, I try not to think too long term as it relates to the circumstance. I try to deal with each day and its challenges as they come, and you meet them and you overcome any challenges, and then you cross that day off the calendar and you move on to the
On to
next
the
day.
next one.
And that's kind of how we've been dealing with this, because I have to be totally candid and honest that if when I think about that we might be here 4 to 6 weeks from now, that can be a little daunting and depressing. So I try not to do that. I think day by day, what are the challenges today? How are we going to address them as a Boys and Girls Club, as the leadership, as the leader of this organization? And as we address them, that's empowering. And then you get ready for the next day. So I encourage and implore everyone to follow that kind of mode of operation. I think that will get you through this in a lot more productive fashion.
I know that with all the trainings that I've been to, we are lucky because we work with children and we know that things change immediately. So we are very quick to adjust and very quick to deal with the situation, on hand. That's part of the training that Kids Bay Boys and Girls Clubs gives us, and that's just part of the kind of staff that you have. So that's been great, and I look forward to when those doors open. That, yes, it's going to be difficult, but those doors are opening, and that's the part that we have to look forward to, when those doors open,
Well,
that we could provide a service for our community.
from your mouth to God's ears, Mr. Ish, I got to tell you, I can't wait for that to happen. I think I'm so proud of the staff that we have and how they have taken this time to continue to empower themselves, continue to share what they're achieving online with our children, because the kids, we are providing virtual programming, we are providing programs on our website. We're trying to create social engagement kind of sessions with our children so that while they can't come outside and can't see their friends face to face, when they can get on a Zoom session and really socially engage with their friends, that's a great thing. That's something they're not used to, and they can still stay connected. So those are the types of things that our staff are overseeing and implementing, and so I'm very proud of our staff and how they're conducting business. But in addition to that, we're also asking our staff to do online training and empower themselves and get ready for when we reopen with new knowledge, new training aspects to what we do, and new implementation skills as to what we do and how we will implement program in the future. And all of that is taking place as we speak during this different time of Boys and Girls Club delivery.
Yes, I'm online. I'm doing my trainings. I'm refreshing
Way to go,
on
Mr. Ish.
on a lot of the stuff. I know, I'm not spoiled. I mean, I've been there, and I know some of the training is repetitive. But when it comes to children, we have to make sure that we know as much as possible. Sometimes little things change, and we just have to be on top of our training. Thank you for providing that, and the Kips Bay Boys and Girls Club, and not only that, the corporate. Providing all the trainings for us so that we could log in and do that. Also, definitely our directors are reaching out to us and giving us whatever information they can. Just asking regular questions. How you guys are doing? How's school? Are you doing this? Is anybody sick? Just to touch base with people, and it makes you feel good that they're taking the time to do that. I'm reaching out to some of my staff members in digital arts and stuff like that. Now that we have the podcast coming up, we should have also another wave of information going out that we could share with people, via internet and podcasting and stuff like that. So that'll be a great thing also. Anything that we could reach out to people is going to be good.
Sure.
So what do you think? Not only just the impact of what's going on, but how I know that one of your major duties is not only one. It's not the only duty, but it's one of your major duties as executive director. It's fundraising, and I know fundraising.
Sure.
We've missed one of our biggest ones, which is basically the president's dinner. I always look forward to it. I'm one of the few that get to go and listen to all the people there and what they do for the Boys and Girls Club. That was April 1st, right? So we already missed
That's
that
correct.
one.
Yeah.
And I know it's one of the biggest nights for Kips Bay Boys and Girls Club. So fundraising is a big
Sure.
part. It's something that you definitely take a great lead in, and every year you're out there, helping fundraise, especially for all 9 clubhouses. So how do you
Yeah.
think that looks,
Well,
forward now with this crisis? Because people are, big
well,
companies still lose their jobs too.
that's correct. Yeah. Well, listen, at the Kips Bay Boys and Girls Club, we serve over 10,000 children at 9 locations, and it takes about $10 million a year to generate all these programs and pay the staff and keep our buildings looking as beautiful as they look. So, as a result of these recent circumstances, unfortunately, as you said, we've had to postpone our president's dinner. In addition to that, we postponed our golf tournament, our night at Yankee Stadium, and the Kips Bay Show House, which has been in existence for the last 47 years.
Wow.
And that in itself raises $1.2 million. That show house is in jeopardy. We're really not sure if we can conduct that show house this year.
Is that in both
So as a
locations or
result,
just one for the show house?
when I talk the show house, I'm talking about the New York show house.
Okay, New York.
We did conduct a show house in Palm Beach, and then we were also looking to do one in Dallas, and the one in Dallas is also in jeopardy. But my point is that with all these special events that were supposed to take place between April and let's say June, we've lost about $2.4 million. And what we're trying to do on a daily basis is talk to our present funders who have been generous with us in the past and say, if you were looking to fund us in September, October, November of this year, can you move those donations and pledges up to May, June, and July? We're looking to individuals and corporations to provide additional funding or emergency funding so that we can really take these 90 days that we're in now, April, May, June, and try to underwrite, try to support those 90 days until we get past, hopefully, this very difficult circumstance and this virus running its course, hopefully. So my job as the executive director is not only to generate revenue, but to make friends with individuals that can help me generate revenue. And also these special events as the show house, like the show house or the president's dinner, see when we can hopefully reignite them so that they can generate the revenue necessary. So moving forward, we won't have the negative impact that we're experiencing now. So, a $10 million operation that loses $2.4 million,
That's a big hit.
A big punch that's a big hit, a big punch to the gut, as I call it. So we're hoping that we could at least defray some of those losses with some of the federal government programs that are being handed down. There's a couple of loan programs that we're looking into, and obviously our existing fundraising base. Some of them have stepped up and provided extra funds in this very difficult time. And I'm not saying we're going to make up the entire 2.4 million, but if we can at least make some of that up, it'll make this time a little easier to digest as we move into the next stage of what this year will look like. So, it's not the only thing I do. I would say fundraising is probably 40 to 50% of my time, but obviously it's very important time because it helps keeps the doors open, the lights on, and the staff paid so that we can serve the tremendous population that we serve.
I know when I walk through Randall Clubhouse, and I say, and I see you and I say hello. You're never rude to me. You're very nice, and I know your mind is always moving. It's like you may say, "Hey, Mr. Ish, how you doing? What's going on?" But in your mind, you're thinking about, did the lunch go to Throsneck? Is the pool water warm? Is the dance studio light on? It's like 5 things. I see it in your eyes. I don't.
Well, it's funny.
Sometimes we don't talk about it, but I see it in your eyes. There's a lot going on.
Yeah, unfortunately, over the years as the executive director, I've been told that when I walk through the building, I may have to smile a little more because what's unfortunate is as I'm walking through the building sometimes, and I've made a conscious effort to really address this, my mind is constantly churning as I say, okay, what's next? What do we have to do? Why is that group of youngsters over there? How come this program is not taking place at the time it's supposed to take place? How much funds do we need to raise to fix the back wing of the building, or to revise or renew the culinary kitchen? Or there's when you have 9 locations and you have 300 staff members and you have 10,000 kids, there's a lot. There's a lot there to think about. Thankfully, I do have my director of operations, Sinclair Hollingsworth, and Jose Rodriguez, who's my deputy, and Yasmin Brown, who's director of contracted services, along with all the department heads. They all help me address a lot of these issues and help me plan ahead. Because at the end of the day, you can be great, but if you don't have good people around you,
definitely
you're not gonna meet all the needs. You're not gonna meet all the needs of the people you serve. And I tell my ladies and gentlemen that work with me that, and I'm a baseball guy, and I use a lot of baseball analogies.
And I hope you're a Yankee fan.
You always have, I'm a Yankee fan,
okay,
and
let's make that
you
clear.
always have to think. You always have to think about what's going to happen in the 7th inning when you're in the 3rd inning. meaning that it's always about anticipation. What can happen? What will happen? What can you do to make that future seventh inning look better? And that's why when I'm walking through clubhouses, sometimes I'm wearing my emotions on my sleeves, as they say. But that's because I'm anticipating. I'm thinking, what do I have to do? What needs to be done? Who do we need to see? What do we have to improve? So, and that's a constant. And when I talk to my management staff, I share the same information. I think this is the way to be productive. This is the way to stay ahead of issues. Because, like I said, when you have 300 staff members, 10,000 kids, um, and 9 clubhouses, there's always going to be issues.
Yeah,
Believe me,
definitely.
things will always come up. It's how you deal with the issues or prepare or have prepared for those issues when they come up. So that's kind of part of the job, and I've been doing this as the executive director 24 years now. So I've been in this business, Boys and Girls Club business, 36 years, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So, um, I've gotten a lot of practice at it. So I feel very blessed and honored to be able to do what I'm doing. And, we'll continue to do it as long as they have
Well, I'm going to give you a baseball analogy because you're a baseball man. I feel I feel that you're my Mariano. I know that in the seventh and eighth
me.
inning, I'm going to put you in, and I feel that you're going to get these funds, and I feel that you're going to try your hardest. And every day you may not strike out everybody, but I feel that you're going to go out there and you're going to do the best, not only for the Boys and Girls Club, but for the staff, for the members, for the community. I know that about you, and I feel that when those doors open, if you said open at 3, at 2 o'clock, I'm going to be in the front. I'm going to
Well,
be
that's
there
great
ready.
to know. That's great to know. And it's funny you use Mariano as the analogy because, quite frankly, even Mariano, as great as he wasn't perfect, right?
True.
And and but he was a large percentage of the time he was successful. So my goal, obviously, is to be as successful as Mariano, even a large percentage of the time. Because if I am, that will translate into dollars for the children that we serve and the staff that work with us, and obviously the entire organization as a whole. So that's always my mindset. Um, and again, I don't do this alone. I have great people that help me do it, that empower me with information so that I can go out and generate the revenue. I always tell program staff, I always tell program staff that if our program was not productive and was not impactful to our children, that then I couldn't go out and raise money. So I
Very
look
true.
at program staff as fundraisers also because what they do arm me and my fundraising staff to go out and generate revenue so that they can do more productive programming. So it's kind of symbiotic. It goes hand in hand. It's a cycle. They empower us and we empower them, and obviously, who benefits the children we serve.
That's beautiful. Beautifully said. I would like to thank
Thank you.
you so much for taking the time for doing this podcast. I'm definitely going to reach out to
My
um
pleasure.
to some other executives. Mr. Hollingsworth is another one that's on my list. Now that he's home, I'm going to call him 10 times so I get him on the podcast. I'm going to reach out to
You do
Mr.
that.
Rodriguez. I'm going to reach just to get an idea. I mean, we all in this together, and even if they spend 10, 15 minutes with me, I think it'll be wonderful for the staff, for our members, for people just to hear our executives and what's on their mind, and how they're dealing with this, and really working forward to opening our doors and providing a wonderful service for the community and for our children.
Well, fantastic, Mr. Ish, and I commend you for the podcast program and what you're doing, not only with our children, but now during this different time. I'm not going to call it downtime because it's not, but different time. We're able to utilize this venue, this opportunity to still get the Kips Bay message out there.
Well, thank you for taking the time, and please, listeners, share this with everyone. We'll be putting it up on the podcast shortly, sometime this week. And thank you again for spending half an hour with me. I appreciate it. This is the most time
Awesome.
this is the most voice time I ever got with you.
Well, I hope it's been productive, and I've enjoyed myself thoroughly. Thank you so much, Mr.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Take care.
Check. 1 2 1 2. Check. Check.
Thank you very much. And this podcast is over.